Hello, everybody. Welcome to the World of Concacaf podcast. I am Eric Schmitz.
And I'm Donald Wine.
And we are sans Jonathan tonight, but it is the June window approaching. It's not officially the June window quite yet as we record, but this is like the meat of the international calendar for the summer. We got a lot of soccer coming up, and we need to talk about it. World Cup qualifying, Concacaf, starts in the June window. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to some other fun, weird shit that's going on in Concacaf because it is Concacaf, and boy, do we have some fun stuff going on right now. But I think with World Cup qualifying ahead, and is there anything better than World Cup qualifying, Donald?
Nations League.
Besides Nations League?
No. Nations League and World Cup qualifying.
Yes. Yeah. It's Nations League, World Cup qualifying.
Our hierarchy on this show is clear.
Yeah. There's a gap. There's a gap. Then you have your Gold Cup and things like that. I should also mention that the Concacaf Champions Cup wraps up this coming weekend. We've got Columbus Crew facing Pachuca. Classic MLS Liga MX final for a spot in the Club World Cup next summer. We could talk about that. I don't really want to because it's an international window coming up, and this is what we love.
We'll talk about that later. But also, real quick, did you see the video? The video that everybody's clowning Columbus Crew because they were wearing the altitude masks and stuff like that. I honestly, you know me, I hate Ohio, but that is smart. That's what they're supposed to be doing. Instead of because they can't actually. I think they're playing tonight, so they can't go to Pachuca early and get acclimated. Like usually you go to altitude, it takes like a week to get fully acclimated, but they've been training with these altitude masks and stuff like that, and sleeping in hyperbaric chambers and altitude tents and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they're supposed to be doing. I think in their case, I hope it pays off for them. But Pachuca is a beast. It's almost 8,000 feet high.
Yeah.
So
there's no elevation in Ohio, and as they say in Ohio, hell is real because hell is Ohio. Anyone that knows exactly who's been to Ohio knows that hell is real. Anyways,
we had to slander somebody on this pod. I mean, Jonathan's not here to slander Canada. We'll do a little bit of that.
Yeah. Oh no, we can handle slandering Canada because boy, we got some slandering to do. Let's just start there. Canada, we haven't really talked about it. New MLS Canada men's national team head coach Jesse Marsch. They got a fucking sponsored title for their manager, but Jesse Marsch, former U.S. national team player, candidate for the men's national team position, at least he
was talked to. We'll say that.
Yeah, he was talked to. But Jesse Marsch takes over the Canucks squad from Mauro Biello. They did announce recently that Mauro Biello, who had been the interim, will stay on as an assistant. I do not have a sponsor for his title there. Also, did you see that there is they have like a Canadian coach? I put it in the.
Oh, you were telling me about this. The internship, the rotating
Canadian coaching community representative.
I'll say, what is it? What do they do in medicine? The residency rotation.
It will be a rotating opportunity that gives Canadian coaches the chance to join the national teams during the select windows. Oh, an intern. Good for them. They can't afford to pay like a random coach.
We may have to talk about this when we're around because if we talk what I really want to say about all this, it may take a half hour by itself.
Yeah.
So we may want to say some of this, but I will say this. Well, first of all, the naming of the coach position, the sponsored position. Colleges are starting to have been doing that for quite a while. Stanford does it for all their coaches. Michigan does it. So basically what we just have is Jesse Marsch just took over as the head coach at the University of Manitoba.
Yeah.
So that's A-okay with him. That's A-okay with me.
Go play intramurals, brother. This is CONCACAF.
Club soccer.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. So we'll talk more on One More Round, sponsored by Boston Pizza, about that stuff. But big window for Canada. Again, they're hosting, so they're not playing World Cup qualification. They've just got a couple of friendlies against, let's see, 7th ranked the Netherlands and 2nd ranked France, both away. So tough window coming up for Canada. A great test for Marsh in his first uh, games under the helm. Uh, kind of younger squad. They did leave off a bunch of their veteran players. Milan Borjan not going, Stephen Vittoria not going, Mark Anthony Kay not going, Lucas Cavallini not going. Uh, it's definitely a changing of the guard up north.
Well, it feels like for Canada, it's also part of the process of getting ready for 2026. You have to evaluate some of these players and get some new guys in. And Jesse Marsh has he has the unenviable task of doing that while preparing for Copa America, which they barely qualified for. So he doesn't have any time to, wait to start integrating guys. He wants to integrate them with these friendlies, and maybe from there bring in some of the big hitters for Copa America in a couple weeks. But he's in a difficult task because he doesn't have a lot of time to put his imprint on this team to get them ready for the big show.
Yeah. Speaking of changing of the guard, Mexico, they put out their roster. They said this is going to be the roster for Copa America. These are the guys we're taking. No Memo Ochoa, no Raul Jimenez, no Chucky Lozano, no Henry Martin. A lot of their veteran players being left off the squad by manager Jaime Lozano. Yeah, Mexico is kind of a team with an identity crisis right now. They don't. Talking about changing of the guard. Uh, Donald, am I correct? Mexico has never won a CONCACAF Nations League.
No, none. And I
No.
think with these guys, they can at least, sleep warmly in the
Uh,
comfort of those second place medals.
yeah, yeah. So Mexico again, never winning a Nations League. Uh, Heading into Copa America, they've got some friendlies before the tournament against Bolivia, Uruguay, and Brazil.
Look,
So some
let,
tough tests for
let,
Mexico.
let me tell you about that Brazil matchup. It's at Kyle Field in College Station.
Uh-huh.
And first of all they are willingly going to College Station. Like Texas A&M, Kyle Field, really Mexico, y'all are made for each other. I hope you stay there. Don't come to Copa America. Like don't bring what Bryan College Station has to the rest of us at Copa America. Don't want it. Don't need you. Goodbye.
Yeah. But speaking of Brazil, they have another friendly coming up. CONCACAF Nations League champs, United States of America. They've got friendlies against Brazil and Colombia coming up before the Copa America. The big story for them this window is how they're going to look without Serginho Dest, the right back, out with a torn ACL. Joe Scally expected to fill in there with potentially, wow, Shaq Moore coming in
And
and
you have
getting some
and you
minutes.
have three guys who have kind of moonlit, I guess, at right back during their club season. You have Tim Weah, you have Wes McKinney has done it, and who else did it? There was someone else who was a
Wham,
right back.
McKenney, um,
Who am I thinking of?
Tyler Adams has,
He
but that's
has,
not
but
who you're
like this, I
that's
mean,
not who
like
you're thinking of.
recently. Yeah, it was recently. Keep talking. I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah, no, it is kind
Musa,
of
that's what it is. Musa has done it.
Musa
Yeah,
right
Musa's
back.
played right back for Milan this year. So
Yeah, I mean, you would think the U.S. is outside of Dast is generally healthy. It feels like the vibe is that Tyler Adams is going to be in good in a good spot, and I think he's going to be a key component of competing against a lot of these top teams. Um, but yeah, this is a big month for Berhalter. Like they don't even, not necessarily just have to get some results; they have to look good doing it. Because if they look like shit, people are going to be on him about it. Because this is like the tough test before 2026. This is what they're building up towards to like start the ramp up for the tournament. And if they fail this summer, it's gonna be tough.
I I agree with you that if they crash out of Copa America, like in the group stage or something like that, he's going to get a lot of heat from a lot of people. But I also think that he's going to get a lot of heat if they don't win. And even if he does somehow pull off winning Copa America, people are still going to think that they're not ready with Greg Berhalter the helm. That's just the state of the situation that we're in here. I think the coach that has the most pressure is Mexico, because Mexico, if they don't win, because they're still in this position where they think they can win everything, right? We don't think like US fans think we're going to lose every game and expect us to win them at the same time. We're playing Colombia and Brazil. We're going to be playing Uruguay. We could play Colombia and Brazil again in the knockout stage. And oh yeah, if we make it to the final, Argentina could await us. And people expect us to blow through all those teams and win 8-0. And if we lose against some of the best teams in the world, people are going to say that's an indictment of the program. Okay, whatever, that's fine. But Mexico literally thinks in their mind that they are supposed to be the favorite for this. And if they don't win, with all of the changes that have been made, what happens to the coach? Because they fired him after a Nations League loss. They fired coaches after Gold Cup losses. What makes you think that they won't do it if they don't look great at Copa America?
Yeah. No. For not having, I mean, in a sense, there's not a lot riding on this summer on the results, because you bomb out in Copa America, whatever. Like you're already
you
in
get
the
2
World
years
Cup
to figure this out. Yeah.
You got 2 years to figure it out. But there's a lot of pressure. The optics of this summer are going to be big for the 3 host countries. So they need to look good, whether they're good or not.
Right.
But like I said, they don't need to qualify for the World Cup. Everybody else, this is the start. Obviously, we had the start of World Cup qualifying in Concacaf back in March, where we had Anguilla and the British Virgin Islands advancing out of the first round. Now we enter the second round. The second round of World Cup qualifying will be both June windows in 2024 and 2025. 4 games in each group. You play 4 games, and then the top 2 are going to advance to the third round. So we've got 6 groups. We're going to go through the schedule and kind of talk about the games we're looking forward to this June window. We're not going to list all of them, but there are some key matchups that I think are worth watching, and these games are all going to be fun. It's CONCACAF World Cup qualifying outside of Nations League. It does not get better than this anywhere in the world. So Donald, let's start with Group A. Group A, we've got games coming up. What sticks out to you as the matchup to watch, or what are you excited about?
I think the matchup that could determine how this round goes is Bermuda Honduras, because Honduras is clearly the class team in this group. But Bermuda's been that team that we've talked about for years, has been a team that's been just can't quite get right, but they're always right on the cusp of doing something good and getting to that next level, not necessarily the elite level, but the next level. To do that, if they can at home beat Honduras, that gives them a really big boost and maybe a leg up on Honduras and getting to that next round.
Yeah. And I should mention, so the schedule in each group, there's 5 teams in each group. The schedule is already formatted. So the first match day is the 2nd seed versus the 4th seed. The second match is 1 versus 3, 5 versus 2, 4 versus 1, and 3 versus 5. Those are your 5 match days in each group. So to me, just looking at that with that mindset, the 2 versus 4, which is the first match in each group, might have the most riding on it. Because if you're the 2 seed, the top 2 are advancing. You need to get a result here. You're at home. And the 4 seed, if you drop this, you're all automatically behind the ball trying to catch up. You are at the bottom, but you're not, you'll have opportunities to get points later on, but you need points here. So in Group A, Antigua and Barbuda versus Bermuda, pretty much if someone wins that game, the other team is behind the 8 ball right off the bat. First match day. So I think Antigua, it's a group that they could get out of, but they need a result in that first match.
Yeah, that's a good shout. And I think Bermuda also, because Honduras is playing Cuba, and you're expecting Honduras to win that. But again, when you get one of those teams, right? That's teams that could, throw that haymaker and knock out the undefeated champ. Bermuda is a team that gets the first shot at throwing that haymaker when they face Honduras.
Yeah, for sure. All right, going on to Group B. I think for me, the one that sticks out here is uh it's going to be this kind of the same thing here, but Trinidad and Tobago host Grenada in the first match. Grenada has gotten some results over the recent years, but Trinidad and Tobago had such a good run in Nations League. They played a really tight Copa America playoff against Canada. That's a team that should be looking like we think we're going to be able to get through. We're going to finish top 2 in this group. Costa Rica is the big dog in the group, but Trinidad and Tobago, they need to start off with a win. They're at home. They got to get 3 points there.
I like that one. I'm going to go with the other kind of first match day match, and that's Costa Rica, St. Kitts, and Nevis. Mm-hmm. The reason why Costa Rica, obviously, again, the major class of this group, they should go gangbusters in this group. Yeah. But they kind of got a raw deal by getting St. Kitts and Nevis, only because St. Kitts and Nevis, as you know, is just a few years removed from being almost in the final hexagonal, right? They're like what a game or like 3 points off of being in the hexagonal, or I'm sorry, the octagonal back in the last cycle. And then they kind of fell off the map a little bit and kind of had some bad results go their way. But if St. Kitts can pull together for one game against Costa Rica, it puts Costa Rica in the bind and also lets the rest of the group know that it's not going to be any match days where they can really, take it easy. Because St. Kitts and Nevis has the opportunity to be that second place team if they can get it together like they did a few years ago.
Yeah, and we haven't mentioned the other big news for Costa Rica. They are going into this match, this crucial window, without Keylor Navas, who has retired from international duty.
That's huge for them too.
Probably the greatest keeper to ever come out of Concacaf. I think it's safe
most
to
decorated.
say that.
Most decorated for sure.
The man was a menace to the rest of CONCACAF for years and years and years, and he has retired from international competition. So Costa Rica, it's really a new era because it used to be, are you going to beat Navas? Because that's the big story. And without him back there, how are they going to play? How are they going to act like emotionally? I think it's Costa Rica's looking to get, they need to come out of this with some confidence.
I obviously may be biased because he played for my club team, but for 5 years, minimum 5 years, he was the best goalkeeper on the planet. And he was the most disrespected goalkeeper on the planet at the same time. And I think for Costa Rica, what their main issue is that he probably gave them the opportunity to win 80% of the games that they end up winning and 100% of the games that they end up drawing, because he was the reason they were able to make runs. And with him in the net, you kind of understood that it was going to be difficult to get 1 or even 2 goals past Costa Rica. And so Costa Rica could go for broke in some of these games, and they were able to get some wins based on the fact that simply he was out of his mind for 5 years. So this is a really big hole for them to dig out of, and that first match will determine how they respond to that, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to Group C. Donald, what sticks out to you in this June window in Group C?
This one I'm going with vibes. St. Lucia and Aruba, which is being played on site in Barbados. I think that's going to be the vibiest game of the entire, first few match days. That one I think has an opportunity. St. Lucia, they've kind of crept back into things after missing out on World Cup qualifying, kind of withdrawing themselves from World Cup qualifying a few years ago. This is where they can kind of say, hey, we did this to get right. And this is the presentation of that get right. But also Aruba is a team that can, cause fits. And so I'm really interested in seeing how that game goes, especially on, neutral ground in the Barbados.
Yeah. So Haiti, neither of these are going to be the games I'm picking, but Haiti is playing both of their matches in Barbados. Their home match against St. Lucia, then their away match to Barbados. Both of them will be at Wildy Turf. I really tried to find a way to get down there to like just hang out in Barbados and watch a bunch of qualifiers. Would have been great. But the game for me to watch is Curacao, Barbados, in Curacao on that first match day. Curaçao's got to get out of this window with 6 points. Like
Hmm.
Curacao thinks they should be hanging on the bottom edge of that core group of the top of CONCACAF. Like they need to get to the third round. And if they're going to get to the third round, they're going to do it by getting the results. And I should see 6 points next to their name after the end of this window. And the first match is that home game against Barbados. Go get your results. I
I'm
think that's
upset
key for
for
them.
you. I'm upset for you that you do not get to relive bacon with a side of shrimp.
Oh my god, I would have loved to do it. But side note, I will be in a CONCACAF nation for this. So not
Boom.
not the United States. That is technically you technically will be as well, but I'm fucking off to an island next week. So it'll be good. Anyways, sticking with the format, let's go group D. Donald, group D. This is your group. What's your match to watch?
This one was an interesting one because there's quite a few games that are kind of neutral. I'm going to go with Nicaragua Montserrat because one, I think that also could be a vibey game in some ways, but also Nicaragua again has been trying to get to that next level. Montserrat has been trying to get to that next level. This could be a game that easily could be a draw and put them both behind the eight ball, or it could be where one team kind of establishes itself as the second best team to Panama.
Yeah, I mean, it's a there are a lot of good options here. But for me, it's CONCACAF. So I'm going with the team from South America playing the team from Central America on a Caribbean island. Guyana versus Belize in Barbados on June 11th. I believe this is a Yes, this is a Jaguars derby. Both of these teams are named the Jaguars.
Hmm.
So the Golden Jaguars of Guyana taking on the Jaguars of Belize in Barbados. What could be better than this?
This is
But
also a
in
double
reality,
header. This is
but
a
that's
double header with St. Lucia Aruba in
yeah,
Barbados that day.
God,
So
I fucking love CONCACAF. But no, Guyana, like they're the third seed. They got the tough draw. They got to start with Panama. If they don't get crushed and they go get a result in this match versus Belize, they've got points hanging out there in 2025. So we'll see about that. Going on to Group E, I guess I'll start with this because it's Group E. Um, my match to watch is going to be Dominican Republic versus British Virgin Islands. British Virgin Islands, if they are going to get any points, they got to do it against Dominican Republic. But if you're the Dominican Republic, you need three here. Like you, you need to get the points where they're available. And Dominican Republic, on their way up, they've got a big summer. They're going to the Olympics. Massive opportunity for them. This is a couple matches going into that tournament that can really set the program up for success down the road.
I went with Dominican Republic on the road at Jamaica because of the similar reasons. One, you know, Dominican Republic wants to show that they're ready for the Olympics and they're ready to take on bigger competition. And this is a really big step for them. But also, Jamaica is going to have most of their guys, right, including Leon Bailey, who was probably one of the best players in the EPL this year. And I am super enthusiastic about how Jamaica is going to do, but also if Dominican Republic wants to show that they're better than Guatemala, that they're better than even on par with Jamaica, right? Because that's who their main competition is. If you're talking about going to the World Cup, this is going to be a big test for them right out the gates.
Yeah. Going on to Group F. I think this is the one where we might actually have the same choice. And I don't really care if we do. Donald, what is your choice?
Mine is St. Vincent on the road at Suriname. That
Oh,
could be one of the vibiest games in CONCACAF history. if Ronnie Brunswick shows up, I promise you, there's going to be fireworks. That game is going to be wild.
Yeah. See, we went in very different directions here. I'm kind of shocked. But noting St. Vincent and the Grenadines playing both their qualifiers, their away match and their home match in Suriname. So St. Vincent will be hosting El Salvador in Paramaribo. So poor El Salvador, they don't even get to go to St. Vincent.
I know.
Like, what are you doing? Can
Advantage
you imagine?
NC Heat?
Can you imagine getting drawn against St. Vincent and the Grenadines in World Cup qualifying and then not getting to go to St. Vincent?
We would have just did what we did in Grenada. We would have gone anyway.
Gone anyway. But my match here, it's our boys, Anguilla, hosting Suriname in the Valley. Anguilla, we just want to see a goal. You're at home. Suriname is going to be coming. They're going to be traveling in. They've only got 2 days off between games. Getting Anguilla, not the easiest. From Suriname, I don't even know how they're going to get there. But Anguilla, like, getting a goal is a win, you know? So pulling for the Dolphins there. But yeah, talk about a vibey group. El Salvador, Suriname, Puerto Rico, St. Vincent, Anguilla. Like, Group F is fire. F is for fire.
And as we mentioned during the draw, it's with apologies to El Salvador, they got to go because they're the only landlocked country.
Suriname.
I'm sorry, sir. You're right. But El Salvador is the only Central American country in this group. I want to say, right? So they gotta go.
Yeah. Bye. So that's World Cup qualifying. But speaking of Anguilla, just an update for everybody. Anguilla, their FA, they announced that all Anguilla Football League games, well, some Anguilla Football League games, now available streaming on FIFA Plus. So if you want to see some hot CONCACAF domestic action, Anguilla's men's league, their matches are on FIFA Plus, which you can download. Crazy app. They got so much random stuff on there.
Yeah.
Just some other notes around CONCACAF. St. Martin just finished competing in the Corsica Cup, playing other not countries. St. Martin advanced in penalties after a 1-1 draw over Sicily to the final, where they lost to Corsica in the final 2-1. So St. Martin falling in the final.
This is French
of the Corsica
St. Martin.
Cup.
Correct.
French St. Martin. Yes. Yeah. I don't know if St. Martin, like the Dutch St. Martin, has a random tournament they play in, but
it's
French
possible.
St. Martin, Corsica Cup finalists. So good on them. The other news in CONCACAF that set Twitter ablaze and like really hits our heart is that Greenland's federation announced that they have officially applied to CONCACAF. Greenland, as you know, technically North American, but also technically not a country. They are part of the Kingdom of Denmark. They are not a FIFA member because they are not in a federation. UEFA doesn't want them, even though Denmark says they don't want them in UEFA either. Donald, what was your reaction to seeing that Greenland's like, yo, we want in?
My reaction was looking up flights to Nook. You have to go through Iceland to get there on Air Greenland. I know someone who flew Air Greenland, and that was during the pandemic. Wouldn't recommend it during a pandemic, but she recommended going to Greenland. So the funniest thing about this, and you know, we can talk for days about this. I think the funny thing about it is how everyone reacted. My first reaction, other than searching for flights, was talking about how in Nations League, the fact that Anguilla could go and have to play away at Greenland and how they would react to that, because that would be fantastic.
Like theoretically, and the way Nations League is structured now, like you're not necessarily hosting games, but like if you're Greenland and you got to go play British Virgin Islands and it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside, like how are they going to handle that? Like, I don't know if they are ready for CONCACAF. Not only on like the vibes level, which is like the main thing, but just on the conditions level. Like, you can play in a frozen tundra on turf, but can you play when like your feet are melting to the turf? I don't know.
Can they do it on this on a muggy night in Anguilla?
Yeah. Good luck going to fucking Suriname and trying to get a result there.
Or I mean, just imagine them having to fly to like Amsterdam to fly to St. Martin,
Yeah.
like, or like to fly to, again, fly to Paris and then fly to French Guiana on a
Yeah.
flight. Like it'll take 3 days for them to get there.
And this announcement comes in advance of Greenland's national team is playing Turkmenistan, like an actual AFC team in coming up. Yeah, I guess technically in the window, but Greenland doesn't necessarily play like actual countries very often. They did last year play Bermuda's U23s and lost to Bermuda's U23 squad. So I can't say that these are going to be they are going to be a Nations League C team.
Mhm.
But, you know, those games happen at various times of the year. And I don't know if Greenland can actually host games for 90% of the year. Like, they might be very limited as to what they could actually do.
Their national domestic league only is the shortest league in the entire world. They play for 1 week because they can't guarantee that they will be able to play longer than that because of the weather. They live in a permafrost environment, so there's no grass fields. I think also when it comes to UEFA, UEFA they just changed the rule a few years ago, which is why Greenland's really not applying there. They changed the rule that basically prohibits teams who are not independent nations from joining UEFA. Obviously, Gibraltar and Faroe Islands. Faroe Islands is also part of the Kingdom of Denmark. They were able to get in, and then they changed the rule and kind of closed the door behind them. So
Yeah.
that's where Greenland's in the situation. But like you mentioned, like even in other sports, they identify and play with the Americas. So they're, at least from a sporting standpoint, they are used to playing teams from
Yeah.
North America more than they are teams from Europe.
Yeah. I mean, geographically, it is North America. But we're going
Very
to talk,
north.
we are going to try and put together like a specific Greenland episode because I think it is really worth diving into. And if you're CONCACAF, like, are you really going to say no? Like, look around. Like, we take everybody, all shapes and sizes.
If you
But
don't think that we won't go to Greenland for any match,
yeah. Oh,
you are sorely
we
mistaken.
are going.
Go win.
But before we move off this, I got a fun little game. I know we don't have a real team or fake team, although a real team, fake team for fucking Greenland is gonna be hilarious.
Oh yeah, don't save those. Save
Yeah,
those
we're
because
saving those. But Greenland, not the largest country. The population is about 57,000. Donald, there are 8 CONCACAF nations that are smaller than Greenland in population. Do you think you could name 4 of them?
smaller than 55,000,
57,000.
57,000, smaller than 57,000.
The minimum is 4, but if you get all 8, you will win the game.
Okay, I'm gonna need a minute, so let me
Yes.
think about it.
While you're thinking about it, I'm just going to reiterate that Greenland's national team's nickname is the Polar Teddy Bears.
Yes,
So, like, that fits
one of
in.
the easily one of the best nicknames in the
Yeah.
entire world.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
So we
so
got 8. There's 8 CONCACAF nations.
eight CONCACAF
So
nations
CONCACAF
that
nations, they might not really be countries, but
correct.
CONCACAF.
So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna list eight. You tell me if they are correct after I list all eight. I'm gonna do Anguilla,
1,
uh, Saint Martin,
2,
Saint Martin,
3,
Saint Lucia,
No.
Turks and Caicos,
4. You get 3 strikes.
Bermuda,
2 strikes. Bermuda is slightly bigger than Greenland,
slightly bigger.
64,000.
Montserrat,
5.
Dominica.
Strike 3. So
Okay, so I got
you got
5.
5.
Okay,
The other ones, Bonaire,
okay.
British Virgin Islands,
Mm-hmm.
St. Kitts and Nevis.
I was gonna say Saint Kitts next. Um, BVI, I feel like I was gonna exclude because the U.S. Virgin Islands are I know are bigger than that, so I kind of
Yeah.
figured
Yeah.
they were as big.
British Virgin
Bonaire, I
Islands.
was probably gonna get to eventually, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been in my top 8.
Yeah. This list I'm looking at on Wikipedia actually lumps Bonaire in with the Caribbean Netherlands,
Oh yeah, yeah.
with Sint Eustatius and Saba. But British Virgin Islands only 31,000. So the only other 2 random country dependencies that are listed in here and not CONCACAF are St. Bart's and St. Pierre and Miquelon, which
St.
are
Pierre and Miquelon is one that people have wanted to join for quite a while, and hope they do it. St. Bart's, I think, is what are they French?
yes, both of those are
But
French.
yeah, I don't. I feel like they like St. Bart's is well behind. At least St. Pierre Miquelon has soccer there.
Yeah, they've got a team. I know they've got a
Yeah.
team. But both of those countries, quote unquote, I'm doing finger quotes here, laser. Both of them are bigger than Montserrat. Montserrat's population is only 4,300, 4,400 ish.
4,400. That's right.
Yeah, tiny, very tiny. So yeah, very exciting week in CONCACAF. So there's a lot of shit going on, but we are very excited for World Cup qualifying. We're excited for friendlies. Don seems excited to say something. So what do you got?
Yeah, real quick. I think also a couple of things on the women's side because I know we are running a little long. On the women's side, I know Canada is starting a league next year. They released the name of that league. It's like the Northern Lights Super League. That has 6 teams, and they kick off next year, so in 2025. So there's that. On the women's in America, they have the USL Super League that's starting this summer. Every team at this point has the name. There's 8 teams with like 4 or 5 more coming after that. Yeah. Also, I think what's really cool and on my other pod today, I interviewed
what pod is that? Do you want to boost
the
that?
USA Soccer Cast. I was going to do that when we get to the
great pod.
Yeah. I did an interview with the U.S. Deaf Women's National Team coach. They are playing on Saturday in a doubleheader with the U.S. Women's National Team in Denver. It's the first time that an extended national team has been televised on national TV in what we call a U.S. soccer controlled match, like a match that U.S. soccer puts on. So I think that was really cool. And it was cool to be able to spend some time with Amy Griffin, the head coach, and talk about what it means to those players and to that program. By the way, do you know what their record is? They're all time.
All time? How many games?
Yeah. 38 games.
37-1.
They are 37-1 if one is a draw, and that draw was them winning in the Deaf Olympics gold medal match on penalties. So it's really they are 38-0. They have never lost. They are literally they are never Houston, actual never Houston. They have never lost, in half of their games they have scored more than 10 goals. So this is a team that dominates. So it's going to be really fun to watch them get a national stage that most teams of their in their group don't get to experience. So I hope everyone tunes. I think it's on True TV on Saturday afternoon, right before the women's game is on TNT. So really hope everyone checks that out and shows us some love, because I think that group definitely deserves to be able to take that stage and have everybody cheer them on the same way that we do our senior national teams.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your podcast again?
The USA Soccer Cast. It's available just like this one, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah. I declined to mention at any point in this podcast that we have a Patreon. If you want to support the World of CONCACAF podcast and our ramblings about the nonsense that is CONCACAF the wonder that is CONCACAF. You can go to patreon.com/podcacaf, POD and throw us $1, $2, $5, 10, whatever you want to do, and help us, run this thing. We do special one more round bonus episodes, which we will be posting there exclusively for our patrons. And there's other bonus content. Sometimes I post pictures on our trips. Sometimes I talk about my trips on the Patreon one more rounds. And I think that's what we're going to be talking about on this one more round. Yeah. So make sure you tune in, support. Donald, where can people find you on the Twitter?
At BlazingDW on Twitter. And you can also find me writing at starsandstripessc.com.
Yep. And you follow us at PodCacaf, PODCacaf on all the socials. And yeah, we'll wrap it up there. More to come, more fun. It's World Cup qualifying. It's not Nations League. The World Cup qualifying rocks. So
summer of soccer's here. Let's go.
Yes. It's always summer soccer. There's never a summer without soccer. Except that one. We'll forget about that one. That little guy, don't worry about that little guy.
Way off.
All right.
Bye.